Right. We begin, however, with Reddit. Exciting day for that company, marking the first social media IPO since all the way back in 2019, 5 years ago. Shares opening at $47 a piece. But beyond social media, there's a lot of discussion around its role in the AI area. Listen to what the CEO had to say about that.
The value of our data is growing. In a world where more and more content on the internet is created by artificial intelligence, the premium on actual intelligence, which is what Reddit is, continues to grow.
Here to discuss is our own Deirdre Bosa, along with Deepwater Asset Management's Doug Clinton. Deirdre and Doug, welcome. Good to have you with us. Deirdre, I'm going to turn it over to you to ask the first questions here.
Okay, well, I guess then, Doug, I will ask you a question. What do you make of this Reddit pop? Of course, it's still early. It has to settle. But, I mean, 50%, that's pretty good. It's not as good as yesterday's IPO, that Astera Labs 70% pop. Do you think that Reddit is more AI adjacent or kind of like an AI company as it's been trying to present itself throughout the roadshow and in the S1?
Deirdre, I think it tells us, number one, that the IPO window right now for tech, especially if you have a little bit of an AI story, is wide open. In terms of Reddit itself, I don't think that their AI story is as clear as Astera Labs' story. And the reason I say that is still the majority of Reddit's business and the majority, I think, of the future in terms of how the stock reacts will be dependent upon their ability to convince advertisers to spend more on the platform. In terms of AI, they have a great deal with Google. It's about a $60 million a year contract with Google for Google to use Reddit data to train its LLMs over 3 years. And I think that shows that there is certainly value of the data. The challenge that we have is there's not that many big buyers who are creating these foundation large language models who can come in and spend $60 million a year. And we just saw with Inflection sort of having some changes amongst their founders going to Microsoft, there may not be that many companies that actually survive that can afford to buy this expensive data.
It's a great point. And, you know, right now, Reddit gets nearly all of its revenue from that advertising model, and it competes with much, much bigger platforms. So that's why I think that licensing data, the fee that it got from Google, which was $66 million, that represent about 6 or 7% of its expected revenue this year. I just wonder, Doug, how sustainable is this? Like a real business model for them? You have even Sam Altman himself trying to play down the use of that, saying that they draw from many different sources when he's talking about the New York Times lawsuit and them saying that OpenAI is drawing on their data without their permission. So how sustainable do you think it really is?
I do think it's sustainable in at least the near term. So as we have this AI arms race, we have these huge competitors, OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, building models that really compete directly against each other to get toward artificial general intelligence. I think the Reddit data is important for that because they are in some ways, you know, these communities, 100,000 active communities, sort of like expert networks on some very niche and useful topics. But I think over the longer run, as these models do get more toward artificial general intelligence, there's probably a cap to the value of that data from Reddit.
So let me ask you, Doug, how important is profitability and how soon for Reddit? In other words, this is a company that has nice revenues, but no profits so far.
Profits are tough in social media for all of the companies that really don't have scale like Meta. Social and advertising in general online is really a scale game. If you have the scale of a Meta and Instagram, you can drive incredible profitability. You look at a company like Snap, who is kind of in that second tier, I would argue, with a Reddit, with a Pinterest, and you see that the profitability dynamics are a little bit different. I think that's going to be one of the key stories in terms of Reddit over the next couple of years, Tyler, is can they get to profitability? They spent more than 50% of revenue on R&D last year. That is partly because they're still sort of subscale relative to some of these other platforms. They can find some good leverage in their model and continue to get those ad dollars to come onto their platform. I think that could help the story a lot for them.
Meanwhile, Deirdre, we learned that in a prospectus for this IPO that Reddit said that the FTC is investigating its data licensing practices. How much of a hurdle is that?
We don't know very many details about that, but it just does raise this tricky issue of how do you actually value that data in this age of AI? How much is it worth? The Washington Post did this really interesting analysis. They got a hold of a Google data set where it showed the weightings of different websites. And you look at a New York Times, and it had something called 100 million tokens versus 8 million for Reddit. So when you look through these different sources for these large language models, there's also going to be discrepancy between them. And then you layer on regulators' concerns. Do the companies have the right to even sell this data? It just kind of tells us that we're early, and it's not exactly clear how it's going to be valued and how they're even going to be able to get money.
But does that mean that the Redditors are not using the diversity of language that the New York Times writers are?
The quality, it's a good point. We haven't even talked about the quality of that data. You know, we heard from Steve Huffman earlier today, and I was laughing when David Faber was talking about NSFW, not safe for work, is a term that he had only just heard of. But that is what a lot of Reddit revolves on. And you have to wonder, is that the data that people are going to want to, or data scientists are going to want to pay for versus sort of the prestige journalism of the New York Times? I don't know. I'm not making a statement either way.
Got it.
David needs to get out more. All right. Thanks very much, Deirdre Bosa. Thank you very much. And Doug Clinton, we thank you as well.